Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Daily Check-In. I am Ned Bellavance, Ned1313 on Twitter, and I'm running a couple minutes behind today. It's been an interesting morning of learning. Not so much for me, but for the children. Yeah, apparently math is also Math Monday, and I've been trying to get my 7-year-old to do math, and she is resistant because she'd rather play on her tablet. So that has been an interesting adventure. Today's topic is a little unplanned because I didn't have time to really think this one through, but I did have this one down as a topic idea in the past. And the topic idea is taking an exam at home. And this is probably something that's pretty relevant for folks right now as we ramp up or as we continue our quarantine process and working at home. A lot of you have taken the opportunity to learn new skills and are considering taking the necessary exams for certification. You may have only ever taken those exams at a testing facility, so there's probably some level of curiosity about how to approach doing an exam remotely when you're at home and how that works. So I'll dive into that in a minute. A couple housekeeping items. One, still waiting on the podcast to be officially added to Apple Podcasts, but it is available on every other platform now. So if you prefer this in an audio medium, awesome. Just go to anchor.fm/Ned-Bellavance. You can subscribe there or search for the Daily Check-In your podcast catcher of choice, whatever that might be. So that's one thing. Second thing, plug for me my book that I co-wrote with Aidan Ermy on the Terraform Associate certification is now available on LeanPub. I'll include, a link in the show notes. But if you would like to go and purchase it, I'd really appreciate it. And I'd also love to hear your feedback if you have purchased one. Let me know what you think. Is there some stuff I can improve? It is LeanPub after all, so I can easily make an update to the current version and publish that out, and you'll get a new copy with whatever revisions you think might be necessary. So yeah, definitely reach out and let me know about that. And the third and final thing, housekeeping wise, is I am going to do an Ask Me Anything version of the daily check-in on this Friday. So that is what, the 24th, I believe. I don't know how days work anymore. Yes, the 24th. So on April 24th, I'm going to do an Ask Me Anything. If you have a question you would like to ask me, you can submit it via LinkedIn. You can submit it via Twitter, Ned1313. You can send me a DM, or you can comment live when I'm live streaming and I can try to answer it live. That's going to be interesting, but why not? Why not do that as well? So that is all of the things I wanted to do from a housekeeping perspective. Let's talk about certifications at home. Now, I've actually taken a number of certifications at home already. And one was the beta exam or the beta version of the exam for HashiCorp Vault. So that was through one testing company. I also have done a number of the Microsoft certifications from home, and that is through a different company. I think that's Pearson VUE, but don't quote me on that. And then I've taken a whole bunch of certifications in person, including Microsoft and Citrix and AWS and some others. So I've had a lot of experience in the certification exam thing. And there are a lot of parallels between the in-person certification at a testing facility and the certification that you would do at home. Now think about the things that they're worried about. They're worried about you cheating, obviously. Now, when you go to a testing facility, they usually make you empty your pockets and put all your stuff in a locker, and they give you the key to the locker, and you can't bring in any paper or pencil with you. They might give you a pad, an erasable pad to draw on with a dry erase marker, and that's it. You're just coming in with your wits and hopefully getting through that exam. The testing process that they have when you do it at home is very similar. So you are going to need a webcam of some kind because they need to see your surroundings. And it's easiest to do this with a laptop. You could do it with the desktop and a mounted webcam, but really if you have a laptop, it's going to be so much easier to do. Basically, they want to see your surroundings and make sure that you don't have a whole list of the answers or the book that the exam is about or it's something else nearby. So what they're going to make you do is basically take your webcam and pan around the room, maybe underneath the desk or table that you're sitting in, just to make sure that there's none of those materials easily available. Also, if you have a phone, they're going to want you to put your phone far enough away that you can't see it or use it during the exam. So that's a little bit of what you're going to need to do. In order to properly set up your room to get testing, you're going to need to clear everything off your desk. That could be pretty difficult. My desk is not pristine, would be probably the best word for it. I struggle to keep papers off my desk. So what I have done in the past is just gone to my kitchen table, which is generally clear. And maybe I have to move the napkins off, but everything else, my kitchen table is clear. So that makes it really easy to have a clear workspace. So you're probably going to want to do that. They also don't want anybody else in the exam environment, and they don't want to hear you talking to anybody else. So if you are in a house or an apartment with a bunch of other people, you're going to need to seclude yourself somewhere where you're not going to be interrupted during the test. So another option, instead of going the kitchen table route, is if you happen to have a card table or even like a tray table, something you can put your laptop on, go for that and put it in a room where it's pretty much clear. There's no books, there's no documents. So that's what they're going to want you to do from a area standpoint. You're also going to need to probably stand up and empty out your pockets. So I would recommend wearing something that either has very few pockets or is very easy to show you don't have anything on you. So that takes care of a couple things. There's also the system that you're taking the exam on. So the software that they run generally does a little snooping to see what other applications are running, and it depends on which testing exam center you go through. Some are more invasive than others. But basically, they want to make sure that you don't have like the browser running in a separate window where you're searching for the answers while you're taking the exam. So they want to make sure that you've closed out basically all their programs. So my recommendation is they usually have a testing link that you can click on before you take the exam. Click on that link. Go through their testing process. It will install the software that it needs to locally that will run during the exam. So now you've got that covered. You don't have to worry about that. And you also have verified that you meet whatever the system requirements are on the system you want to take the exam on. So that's two things. So that is like the prep system. Excuse me. Sorry. So that is what you want to do from a preparation standpoint. The other thing that you probably want to do is be comfortable knowing that they're going to install software on your system temporarily that is going to, do some spying, because it needs to make sure you're not gaming the system, basically. So I would use this on a laptop that you don't have anything sensitive open or running on. And before the exam, just go and look in the system bar and see what things you might have running in the background. If you have something like, I usually have Docker for Windows running, I'm going to close that. I might think I have closed Slack, but it's really hiding down in the system tray. Same thing with Teams. So any of those programs that when you close, then don't really close out, make sure those are closed as well. And then the actual exam starts. So they're going to do this whole, hey, show me the room. We're going to check your system, validate everything's good. And then they kind of just go into a monitoring mode while you take the exam. If anything happens during the exam, there should be a chat where they can pop up and say something to you, or you can say something to them. If you think something hinky is going on with your system, you're having some issues, don't wait. Jump in that chat and say, hey, something's going on, it's freezing or whatever. Make sure you jump on that right away. So hopefully they can resolve whatever the problem is, and you don't have to retake the whole exam, because it really stinks to lose all of your progress, especially if it's one of those longer exams. The last thing I'll say is make sure for certain exams, there's usually a simulator component. Make sure that you've also checked the system requirements for the specific exam you're taking, on top of all the test taking software that's going to be running. So if you're doing like a Microsoft style exam, and I know the new ones have a practical component where they kind of give you a shell or a virtualized shell and you have to do things, that's obviously going to take some resources as well. You want to make sure that you're able to run that environment as well. So I know that's a lot of things, The last thing I'll say about the software running on your system is if you're using a corporate laptop of some kind, you might be using it might have some sort of anti spyware or corporate mandated software that is not compatible with the testing software that they want to install. And I have seen that where it pops up and like won't let you install some component of the testing software because it violates some policy on the corporate side. So just be aware of that too. And that's why that system check ahead of time is so important. So I know that that's a lot to digest, but if you are planning to take an exam at home, it's probably good to know those things. So just quickly to go over them again, take your test in a clear space where there's no documents or papers or books or anything. So that's probably not going to be your desk. Find another space if you can and set up like a tray table or a card table and take it there. Second, wear clothing that is easy to check. Not something with, don't wear like cargo shorts or like something with a ton of pockets on it. Make it easy for them to just validate that you don't have anything sneaky going on. Make sure that you check your system ahead of time that so that it's compatible. And while you're taking the exam, especially if you're using a laptop, have the charging cord so you're not going to run out of juice. And if anything starts to come up, if anything feels weird or awry, make sure you check in with your proctor and validate that everything's still copacetic, because you don't want to get to that end of the exam and have them tell you, oh, something weird happened halfway through the exam. And now we're going to have to invalidate the whole thing. You're going to have to retake because that kind of stinks. So those are my thoughts on taking an exam at home. Is there something I missed? Is there something that you would bring up that I didn't think of? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, whether it's on Twitter or through YouTube. So leave me a comment or hit me up at Ned1313 on